I have a really bad habit when it comes to Final Fantasy games. What I'll do is I'll play through the game almost until the very end. And just before I get there, I'll feel the need to go back, collect all the legendary items and weapons, collect all the summons, finish all the side quests, and somewhere in the middle of all that, I'll burn out, I'll drop the game, and I won't pick it up again for another couple years. Except when I do that, I'll feel the need to go back and start over. Thankfully, that wasn't the case this time around with Final Fantasy X, the HD Remaster. I beat it. For the very first time since I first got this game on release. And it was an enjoyable experience. I clocked in at about 80 hours, which is probably 20 hours longer than I probably should have. Again, I got caught in that loop of I gotta get everything. I gotta do all the side quests. And at about the end of that, I just said, fuck it, I gotta stop. Let's just beat the game. Let's just beat the game. I did get all the summons. I didn't get all the legendary items. I got to that point where it's like, I'm just playing Blitzball for hours on end, trying to get Wakka's legendary weapon that I don't even really care about that much. And then Lightning Dodge, just... I don't know how I did that when I was younger, but I can't for the life of me do it anymore. Maybe it's something about the European port of the game that Lightning Dodge was harder, but I was lucky if I could maybe dodge 20 in a row, let alone fucking 200. That wasn't gonna happen. So again, I just got to the point where I said, fuck it, let's just beat the game. And as I was doing that, I realized just how over-leveled I was for this, because I wiped the floor in all the bosses leading up to the end. So I probably didn't need that extra 20 hours of play. I probably just could have beat the game right around 60 hours. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, and I didn't notice this at all during any other time that I was playing this game, but Final Fantasy X is an exceptionally well-paced game. If you just go, do all the random encounters that you get, you're pretty much leveled for the game. At no point did I lose to a boss and feel, well, shit, I gotta grind out some levels here. I gotta get a little bit further in this sphere grid than I am now if I'm gonna beat this guy. At no point did that happen to me. I just cruised my way through. And that's amazing. That's not an easy thing for any JRPG to really do. Most JRPGs, they make room for a little grind, but that was not needed in my playthrough of this game at all. And that felt great. It felt great just cruising through from story point to story point, the occasional side quest along the way. It made my experience of this game a lot better than it ever was in any previous playthrough of it. And of course it helps that I'm of the opinion that Final Fantasy X's battle system is probably the best of any JRPG that I've ever played. It's just so, fast and smooth and easy, but at the same time, when you get to longer, extended boss battles, there's a lot of room for strategy involved, and that's great. That's satisfying to me. So, again, playing through Final Fantasy X this time just felt amazing, and a lot of the other problems that I have with the game weren't as bad as I might have thought they were when I was younger. The voice acting, still not great. I mean, it was Final Fantasy's first shot at it, so I don't think too terribly of it, but it's still not great. The story, again, it's not great, but it's not as bad as I remember it being. And those were really the only major complaints I had for the game. The voice acting and the story really kind of killed Final Fantasy X for me. And I think with the way the series sort of progressed into X-2, that kind of infuriated me a little bit more on the story, where for Final Fantasy X, sort of the main themes of the story were kind of letting go, in a way. But then the story progresses in such a way where it feels like nobody and nothing lets go. Nothing changes, despite the fact that everything kind of superficially changes. But that's probably something to talk about a little bit more whenever I get around to talking about X-2. So, we'll see. But Final Fantasy X, the HD remaster, great game. Great game. It was the best experience I'd ever had playing a Final Fantasy X game. And, again, just, it did not feel like I had played the game for as long as I did. It certainly didn't feel like 80 hours. Just don't get too caught up at the end when you're trying to do all those side quests. Just, you know, if you don't want to spend 80 hours playing the game, you'll probably find somewhere around 50 or 60 hours. I think that's all I have to say. I'm Brian CrowMn for a CrowMn Review, and we'll see you next time.